All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So if you don't actually know who I am, my name is Josh Patazzi. I'm the owner of Goliath, one of them, with my wife and then my parents as well, are part owners. But so we're doing something a little different today. I'm going to play 18 holes, but while I'm playing the holes, I am alone, so I'm going to be carrying the mic, and I apologize, or not the mic, but the camera. But I'm going to answer questions. So I reach out to our team, folks that we sponsor, and I asked them to send me questions. Some are disc golf related, some are Goliath Discs related, some are not at all. So I'm just going to go through the list. We have a bunch, so I'll just go through them as we're playing, and we'll answer the questions, and hopefully you enjoy. You'll probably learn a lot about me and about the company and about just, I guess, kind of life. So hopefully you enjoy it. It's different, but have some fun. Let's get after it. Thanks for the questions, by the way. All right, so we're on hole number one, but so the first question that we have is, when did Goliath Discs start? And the answer to that question, we received the first run of Gyras, which is our first mold. That was released January 31st of 2022. And so that's when the company kind of officially got started. I'm going to flip the camera around here. All right, so question number two that we had received was, why did we want to start a company, or why did we want to start Goliath? And that's kind of easy. So this question might come up later, like when my disc golf journey, if you will, got started. But I started playing disc golf a little bit when I was young. We lived in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we lived kind of close to a course, and we played, and then we moved to Iowa and didn't play pretty much at all for years and years and years. Anyway, so I started playing again, and I love the sport, and my wife, Sunny, and I, we always wanted to have a faith-based company within the sport that I love, because we felt like that was missing. So let me pause this. I'm going to flip it around so I can putt. All right. So anyway, so we started the company because we wanted people to know that faith is important to us, and other people think that as well. So that is why we started Goliath Discs, was to spread the word of Christ in a sport that I love. Okay, so walking to hole number two here. Let's see. What is my favorite mold in the Goliath lineup? Man, that's tough. I think that changes based on how I'm playing and kind of where I'm at with my game at the time. But right this moment, I would probably I think I'd probably have to say the Redemption, maybe. But I don't know. That is a really, really hard question. I think that the one that I tend to come back to the most, that I kind of forget how good it really is the Gyra. A lot of people sleep on the Gyra, and every time I throw it, I'm like, man, that disc is good. So I think I'd probably go with that. Let's see, what are the thoughts behind the names of both discs and the company? That's kind of a loaded question, but let me pause the camera and flip it around here. Okay, so here's number two, so the question of why, or the names of the discs and the name of the company is, it's a question we actually get quite a bit. especially the name of the company. So the name of the discs, I think, for the most part, once people realize that we're a faith-based company, they kind of pick up on that. Every disc in our lineup has a faith-based name in kind of one way or another. So the Covenant used to be the Genesis. Oh, that was terrible. The Redemption. I mean, they're all, a lot of them are self-explanatory. I would say a couple that aren't as much would be like the Slingshot, but also the Slingshot also is. So the Slingshot's named after David's sling, David and Goliath. But sling was already taken, so we went with Slingshot instead. So let me flip the camera and we'll talk about the other question. Okay, so the question of why Goliath discs. And we're asked this a lot. So we actually typed something up to send to people. I think it's on our website as well, but let me just read it. So in the story of David and Goliath represents a formidable challenge, a giant who seems unbeatable. Our name Goliath Discs isn't about celebrating Goliath as a villain, but about embracing the idea of facing and overcoming huge obstacles, just as David did. Our motto, defeating your inner giant, reflects this. It's about conquering personal thoughts, doubts, or fears, the giants within us all through faith, determination, and perseverance. We see Goliath as a symbol of those challenges, not as an endorsement of his actions or mockery of God. Sorry. Naming our company Goliath Discs also sparks conversation, much like the messages and the questions that we constantly receive from people. It invites people to reflect on their challenges, what they go through in their life, and the giants that they have, that we all have. So hold on, let me adjust this a little bit, and then I'll walk over to my disc while I'm talking about this. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing for us. Hold on, let me find this terrible shot I threw. So for us, it's a matter of the thought of defeating your giant and having faith in God to help with those challenges. Know that you're not alone ever. God is always with us, and that's kind of, I guess, the biggest thing. So also this is barely in bounds. But so yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Oh, nice. And by the way, my focus isn't 100% on disc golf right this moment because I want to answer these questions for y'all. So, but that's that one. We get it constantly, and it's fair, but that's why we did it. Oh, and also, I guess the other thing, let me just add this while I walk over here. The other thing to think about, we are a business, a for-profit business, and the name Goliath is much more marketable, and I guess you can call it more attractive, if you will, the name itself. It's just easier to market, better for business. So that's the other thing with it. So next question is, what collaboration of discs would be a good starter set for Goliath? I think, personally, the Covenant, the Gyra, and then the Enoch, I think would be the best 3 discs. Oh, smoke the tree. The best 3 discs for beginners, in my opinion. Get down. Oh, that'll putt. I'll flip it around. We'll answer another one on the way to this. All right, so next question. How do you set healthy boundaries, priorities, between faith, family, and business. Sounds like a tough question, but honestly it's not. The order that the question was questioned in is the order that matters. Faith is always first, always will be, always should be. Family comes second, business comes after that. So I think that if you / I should just speak for myself, make decisions based on that order, everything will be good. You know, I think that faith is the utmost important thing that anybody has, and if you stick to that, all of your decisions just kind of fall in line. So faith first, then family, then business. Let me flip this around while I putt this. I don't even know what it is, but here's the putt, circle 2. Nice. Nice. Alright, we'll see you on the next hole. Alright, so this hole will probably answer a couple of questions just because it's longer, but this one is, if I would want to improve on one thing to be a better dad, what would it be and why? So we have a 10-year-old daughter, and maybe I should have read these more beforehand, but skip a little. I'll carry the camera and talk on this one. So let me flip it around. Okay, so what would I want to improve on to be a better dad, and why? I think there's two things for me. Number one is patience. I have somewhat always struggled with patience, and if any of you guys have kids and or daughter or son, probably, I don't know, I don't have a son, but patience is something that I have to have, and I do pretty good with it, but there are times that I need to work on it, and I know that, because it's kind of easy to go from 0 to 10 when they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So I think that patience is one thing. Let me pause it, flip the camera, and then we'll keep talking. So you guys can see the basket over there. So the other thing, especially because I have a daughter, I would say is having empathy. Anybody that knows me really well knows that I have this mindset of suck it up. And by the way, maybe that's why the gyro is my favorite disc. Let me flip the camera, then I'll finish answering this. Okay, so empathy. I have always kind of had the mindset of like, just suck it up. It's not a big deal. And I think that can be extremely beneficial to have that mindset. But I think especially because I have a daughter, that is something that at times I need to remind myself of, like, yes, I guess she has feelings, and I should make her realize that they matter, because I am man enough to admit that, like, half of the time, like, I don't care about people's feelings, and I'm sorry to say that, kind of, but at the same time, I think we live in a world where people think that their feelings matter too much, and that's probably why we've become such a soft society. But in regards to parenting, I think I should work on that, and I know, and I kind of am, but if I get better with patience, and if I get better with empathy with her, I think it would make me a better dad. So those are two things that I'm working on to become a better dad. All right, so let me make this putt quick, and then we'll answer another question on the next hole. I don't want to go through them too fast. Also, another challenge, carrying a mic while talking kind of makes your arm tired. And then putting isn't as easy. Alright, so if I answer all these questions in 9 holes, we'll just stop there. If it takes me more, we'll keep playing more. The next 2 questions are, what about disc golf do I enjoy the most? And what is the next disc that I want to release in our lineup? Okay, so what do I enjoy about disc golf the most? I think it's 3 things. Okay. Number 1, being outside. I've always loved outdoors. So that's number 1. Number 2 is competition. I'm an extremely competitive person, always have been. So once I graduated high school and then stopped playing baseball in college, only played for 1 year, by the way. But once that stopped, I think that disc golf just helps with just being competitive. And since it's in my nature and it's outside, there's that. And then the third thing is the flight of a disc. Not that I throw far or always throw great, obviously you just saw that. But when you see a disc fly and you peer a line that's through a tunnel or whatever it is, it's hard to think that there's too much better than that. It's just such a pretty thing. So there's those 2 questions. Oh, was the next disc in the lineup? And then, was disc golf always my focus in life? What is the next disc in our lineup? What I want to do is a more shallow throwing putter. So something that's stable, that's just a little more shallow than like what the Waymaker or the Covenant are. And it will be beadless. So for all you beaded loving putters, it's not going to be that. And then I don't know what we'll call it yet. Cap will probably pick that out because he's the one really pushing for that disc. I'll like it too, but Dustin really wants it, so he'll probably name it. And then, was disc golf always my focus? No, not even a little bit. Like I said, I played a little bit when I was a kid, loved it, but then didn't play for a really long time. So no, it was not always my focus. Okay, so the next question, we're on hole 6 by the way, but the next question is, I'm going to do a couple of redemptions here. It is, where'd it go? Has there ever been any point that I felt like running a business was too much? Man, let me throw this quick. Too much? No, not really. That's parked. Dustin's redemption now. That was pretty terrible. Hit the boat hoist. Or not. Okay, let me flip it around. We'll walk this one and I'll answer it. Okay, so have I ever felt business is too much? No, not really. Life in general can have stresses, and we all know that. But I read in a book a long time ago that if you do something that you truly enjoy and truly love, that it'll never feel like you work a day in your life, and that is so true. Now, has there ever been the financial, is this going to work? Yes and no. A few questions ago, faith was mentioned, and I like to kind of take pride in the fact of, I think that my faith is so high that I truly trust and believe that God's got us. And so I've never really like had that fear or thought of that. Hold on, let me pause this and find this disc that's in the leaves somewhere. Oh wait, never mind. Got it. That's what I'm dealing with. See that? So not really. I think that if you have faith, then everything will be okay, and I truly believe that. So let me set this down. Terrible camera angle, but make this putt real quick. And then we'll move on to the next hole and the next question. Alright, so you're not going to see the basket on this hole. It's a shorty, but it's up in these trees over here. But, alright, next question. Let me grab it real quick. So the next question, worst state in the USA. Okay. And wow, worst state in the USA, and then I'll move on to the next one after that. Wow, that was terrible. Maybe go in the basket? Wow. Okay, that was really close to being an ace. So is that. Oh, that's short. Okay, so hold on. I don't know, I haven't been to all the states, but this is not a very popular answer, but I'm not that much a fan of California for multiple reasons. But so I would, at the current time, I would probably have to say California. So I know some of y'all are gonna hate that, but it's just, so it is what it is. There's that empathy thing. If I had to lose a toe, which one would it be? I don't know. I think that there's something about if you lose a big toe, you can't walk normal, so probably not that. So I would say, let's go with the middle toe on my left foot. I have absolutely no idea. Well, let me grab this. And, what a weird question, Noah. And I'm sure that some scientist on here is going to tell me that I'm crazy for that answer for some weird reason, but that's my answer. Alright, hole number 8. So 2 more holes in the video. We'll get some questions answered. So the next question is if I could suck it, or if I could be, hold on, let me just read it. I like the question a lot. It's a really easy answer, but if you could be good at one thing in life but suck at everything else, what would it be? That's a question. Beach or mountains? That's a question. Best vacation spot is a question. So, question number 1, if I could be good at anything and suck at everything else, being a husband. That's easy. Number 2, beach or mountains? Selfishly, mountains. Beach is the right answer because then my wife would be happy. And then the third one was best vacation spot. I'm gonna mute, or I'll turn it around, walk up to the disc, and I'll answer that. Okay, so best vacation spot. I think it's kind of funny because I love cruises. They're like my favorite type of a vacation is a cruise. If you've never been on one, save up some money and go on one. They're a lot of fun. But going on a vacation on a cruise doesn't really allow you to play disc golf much. And I love disc golf. So if it's not a cruise, best vacation spot for me would probably be somewhere that has a lot of really, really cool courses. Maybe North or South Carolina or somewhere like that, I would say. Not exactly sure, but that's kind of the answer. Alright. So, while this truck is driving by, let me get the next questions. If I could own any creature in the world, what would it be? I don't really know. Maybe a monkey? I mean, I feel like it'd be kind of cool to own a monkey, but I also think that I've heard that monkeys are mean. So, but I'm going to go with monkey. I kind of always said that when I was younger. I think I'm going to stick to it. Okay, so the next one, I think I said it, but now I forgot, is, my favorite color and why. What a perfect time to ask this question. This question came from Sarah. My favorite color has always been like a dark purple. Why? I don't know. Because it's pretty. That's kind of like asking why you like the taste of a food. But a dark purple has always been, I would say up until recently, very recently, and I'll explain in a second, my favorite color. Hold on. Now, the reason I say that it's good timing is because I realized we actually just went on a cruise to the Bahamas a week ago, and sitting there, I realized that the dark blue, the really, really deep dark blue of the ocean is my favorite color. And I think the reason why is because it represents a lot of unknown. Sounds weird to say, but if you've ever been on the middle of, or in the middle of the ocean, that really, really dark blue is hard to beat. So I think that's my new favorite color. But I'll probably go back to purple. But I do like that color. Alright, so we have one more hole, and we got a few questions. So I'm going to walk and talk on these ones. So, biggest accomplishment, I would say my biggest accomplishment to this point in my life is having a successful marriage for going on 16 years. I think that that's kind of becoming unheard of. So there's that. Favorite memory? That's not even fair. I have incredibly too many. I would say if I had to pick something, I'd have to think about it, but it would have to be something that created laughter. I'm a stickler for making people laugh / just I love laughing. I'll think on that, and if I think of anything, I'll say it. Earliest memory? Ooh, that's not a great one for me. Let me flip this around and I'll explain. Okay, so what I mean by that's not a great one for me isn't anything weird, but I don't have a ton of memories from my childhood. I don't know why. It could be all the concussions I had from playing football in school. But I think my earliest memory might be, I honestly don't know. Maybe something from kindergarten. I remember we had a bird that died, but that might not even been kindergarten. Might have been later. It's hard because there's so many pictures now in life that, like, is it a memory or do you just remember the picture of it? So I don't think I have like an earliest memory really. I don't really know. But let me flip this around. Okay, so we're almost done. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. I think 5 questions. So I'll walk up here, I'll answer one, and then I'll just putt around until I get the rest answered. So, who do I admire the most? I would say man, at this current time, I would probably have to say the pastor of our church. Just going out on faith to start a church, and then it growing and growing, and him never changing who he truly is, I think is huge. There are some pastors that think that they're special, and Pastor Greg is a pastor at our church. He has never been that guy. He's real. He's down to earth. He truly cares about people. And you know that he's had life happen, and it's never let him wager who he is or change who he is at all. So I would say right now it's probably him. Let me flip the camera and putt around and answer some questions. Alrighty, so let's see. Grab my putters, grab the phone that has the questions on it. What do I do in my free time? If I could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? And what was my dream profession? What do I do in my free time? Honestly, well, I guess you're kind of looking at it, but this is business. So I would say I don't have a ton of free time, mostly because, like I mentioned, we have a 10-year-old daughter, and she is very active in a bunch of different sports and music and activity. So that takes a ton of my time. But if I were to say what I do in my free time, it would probably be pickleball. I play pickleball almost every day, but I also use that as a workout. So, but pickleball, let's just go with that. If I could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Like, let's say that family could come, because I'm a huge family guy. And like, we live in Northwest Iowa, but family's here, which is why we came back. If family wasn't here, we wouldn't be living in Northwest Iowa. I would say somewhere warm, but the caveat to that is it has to have all the seasons. I don't know how y'all live in like Florida or California, and there's like only one season. I mean, we lived in Arizona for a year, and the 4 seasons were hot, and then hotter. And it's just not my jam. Also, green. Has to be green. I mean, it's kind of brown here right now, but you know what I mean. So, I don't know. Maybe like one of the Carolinas. If I had to pick like Arizona again, it would be like in northern Arizona, where they actually kind of have some seasons. When we lived in Tucson, we went to Show Low to play, and that place is pretty dope. So I don't really know, but somewhere like that. What was my dream profession? I wanted to be a teacher, but ultimately, when I was young, I don't even care what sport it was, but I wanted to be a professional athlete. So I started bowling when I was really, really young. I mean, I think my first trophy that I have from bowling is when I was like 2 years old. So, but I would say probably like a professional football player, but I'm obviously short, so that would have been tough. If it's not like sports related, being a business owner was never really like in my mind until probably, I don't know, 12-ish years ago. But so I'll probably a teacher, maybe a physical therapist. But yeah, okay, so last two questions and then we'll wrap it up. Oh wait, no, we only have one more. This one was, why did we pick the name Goliath? So this is what we'll wrap up with. What's the best way to grow the younger demographic of kids to try disc golf? I think that this question can help our sport grow so much, but I think it's making it fun. I would love to build a small course, like almost like a putter course for adults, that every hole is like 100 feet, that kids would actually go out and enjoy. The other thing is, like, we've recently started doing some ultra lightweight plastic, so like the ultra lightweight ambush, and then Covenant and Waymaker, because little kids actually enjoy throwing when they can get the disc to fly further than 5 feet. But I think ultimately the way that you grow it with younger kids is to bring them with you, right? So we played around a disc golf the other day, and we brought our 6-year-old nephews, and they're twins. That's why I said 6-year-old nephews. But one of them, he played the entire 18 holes on a pretty long course. He only had one disc, and it was ultra lightweight ambush, but he threw every single shot. I didn't keep score because I didn't think he was going to play all 18. But he was a little trooper, played the whole time, and afterwards we said, are you tired? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, you want to play again? And he said, yep. So I think just getting them involved, kids want to do what their adults do, what their parents do, what their siblings do. So just bring them with you. Sometimes it can feel super obnoxious because like they're terrible. But that is how you grow the sport. And grow kids. So let me just double check I don't have any more. No, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it. The video is going to be a little longer than a 9-hole video normally is, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions, go ahead and just comment them and we'll make sure to answer them. But for those of you that sent me questions, thank you. It was fun. I enjoyed doing that. So appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks. God bless.